Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. It's sunset, and I'm out here getting eaten up by mosquitoes for y'all again. So I'm sweating too because it's hot, but I got a hoodie on. So it's the price I pay to bring y'all the Lord's message. It's all about sacrifice. Anyway, I gotta tell y'all, I had a most awesome experience earlier today. Remember I talked about the red-tailed hawk that was out here? Well, it turns out there's actually three. Two of them earlier. I was out here and I was praying and I got up and took a walk uh, right here down just down the road for a second and then came back, and as I came back, that red-tailed hawk, he started screeching and he just flew down real close to me and came up, went back up in the sky, and then another one joined him, and they were circling for about a good probably about 5-10 minutes. They just sat there and just circled over me and just screeching. It was pretty awesome. So I took that as a sign that I don't know exactly what the Lord was trying to tell me. I guess he was trying to tell me he was proud of me or something. I don't know. But it was a pretty awesome experience either way. So they were pretty watching them for that long. And as close as they were just flying around like that, it was awesome. Anyway, the story we have the lesson today is going to be on um going to be on 2 Kings 15, chapter 15, and it's called Kings and Crosses, a chapter of instability and judgment. Is what this is about. It's instability, political instability and judgment. Um, it's about it goes through these 6 different kings, two of from Judah and the others from Israel, and the northern and southern kingdoms. And it's a portrait of the political and moral decline of both Israel and Judah. And it actually sets the stage for the downfall of both kingdoms because of this constant idolatry that they practiced that eventually led to the instability and then the downfall of these kingdoms. Um, the Northern Kingdom suffered from a rapid series of assassinations and foreign threats as a result of their chronic instability and idolatry. And and the Southern Kingdom was a more spiritually flawed reigns at the time. And they were actually that this is the theme of divine judgment. That they were divinely judged because they were more spiritually flawed, and that set the stage for the Assyrian threat. That this God sent the Assyrians as a divine judgment upon the Southern Kingdom. So this shows consequences of incomplete obedience and how nations' faithfulness unfaithfulness to God led directly to their political and social decay. So we start out, and we're going to go through this by king. And the first king is Azariah or Uzziah of Judah, and it tells how he was doing what was right in the Lord's sight. but failing, he failed to remove those high places. He still failed. He did what was right. This is the same theme I'm talking about this half-heartedness, half-hearted devotion, this this constant, you know, having that one foot in for God and one foot in that idolatry, in an old tradition, in an old way, instead of living totally for God. And so, um, this was a persistent flaw throughout, you know, this whole, the whole book of Kings, really, and each one of these chapters and all these reigns of these different kings. So, because of all this, the Lord actually struck Azariah uh, with leprosy, you know, as a divine form of judgment. Um, and it was for his pride, which is detailed in 2 Chronicles. Um, he refused to offer a burnt incense or something like that, or something that he refused to do for the Lord or something. I can't remember exactly. I'll have to go back through that and read that again. But that's what he was judged for that. And the next king is Zechariah of Israel. And Zechariah, uh, of course, he continued the sins of Jeroboam with the idolatry. And he is actually assassinated by Shulam, which shows which is a fulfillment of prophecy of Jehu, uh, that I believe it was back in chapter 10, that we looked at that you know, said they were about the 4 generations, and so that was the divine judgment. Him being assassinated was divine judgment on him, but it was also a fulfillment of prophecy of Jehu. And then Shalom of Israel, he only reigned 1 month. It was very short reign. He assassinated and took over, but he only reigned 1 month. So, uh, and then he is subsequently assassinated by Menahem a month later. So we have a really quick succession between these 3 kings there, by that killed each other off. And that was the instability that was highlighted in this chapter, that they was just, you know, one took over, another, and then they was killed, and another took over, and uh, but that showed that political, you know, that extreme political instability during that time for Israel. And Menahem turned out to be the worst in this situation, because Menahem, there's this section that starts this, it's a really, really nasty story here, gory story about Menahem going in and um, into in and ripping up all the pregnant women he was in, and cuts some bellies open and kills all of them. So I mean, that's pretty gory. So he was a pretty bad dude. And and it says, you know, he continued that pattern of idolatry, but of course he did what was evil in the Lord's sight, because he killed pregnant women, so he was the worst of these kings. And because of his actions, of course, that set the stage for them to be invaded by the Assyrians as a judgment. And that was Tilgath-Pilser III came in with the Assyrians, and he pretty much tells that they're gonna have to pay him, and for him to leave him alone, and so they have to start paying what they call a vassalage, right? And to um, a payments to him constantly to keep him at bay, uh, so he wouldn't attack them. And then this chapter also highlights Pikai, um, who is also assassinated by his officer, Pika, for more political instability because of course, it all leads back to that idolatry and not following God with their whole hearts and suffering the consequences. And of course, Pika, he's a same thing, idolater. And then Jotham of Judah. Jotham, though, like his father, was a righteous king, but he failed too to end the idolatry, and so that shows again incomplete obedience. And then the chapter closes with showing that the Lord begins to send these kings of Syria, and Israel against Judah, and uh, that new external threat is divine judgment upon Judah for its partial disobedience. So this political instability, all this chaos that started and happened was a direct result of the social and moral decay that happened within these societies because these kings did not do the right thing and end the idolatry and fully devote their reigns and their people back to God. And because they weren't fully devoted, they had that one foot in their old ways, and they was trying to serve the Lord, they was trying to serve God, but yet they still wanted to hang on to their old ways with the idolatry. Then God sends judgment upon them. And with this political instability, all this chaos starts happening. It never fails that the chaos is a direct result of half-hearted devotion. The reason is just because it opens the doorway up to the demonic. And when you open that doorway, then in the spiritual realm, spiritual warfare takes place. And that spiritual warfare spills over into the physical, as above, so below. You cannot escape it. That's the importance of obedience. Full, wholehearted devotion and obedience to the Lord and the Lord only, by both leaders and the people. So, I don't know. This, as I said, the entire book of Kings is just over and over and over the same story, over and over and over, centuries upon centuries, same thing. But they failed to learn the lesson from the last. That, God's will usurps everyone else's. Well, ours don't usurp his. That's the way it is. He is sovereign. He is king. King of kings. Lord of lords. Anyway, I guess that's it for today. I love y'all, and I guess I'll see y'all back here in the morning at sunrise. Y'all have a good night.